tribal chiefs and our ancestors are here with us today, and I would like to thank you in the front of them as a witness that we're grateful for what you're doing.
Then the city of Seattle laid a wreath by the chief's gravesite, followed by wreaths from the state of Washington, King, and Kitsap counties. Finally, the Suquamish tribal elders laid a wreath directly on the famous chief's grave. As the church bell began to toll, the memorial ended with the grave laying decorated with respect. Dignitaries reboarded Spirit of Seattle for the trip back across the Sound. The fireboat, Chief Seattle, once again brought up the rear with seagulls as escorts. And when the boat finally rounded the corner to re-enter Elliott Bay, geysers of water were once again pumped to mark the occasion and pay respect to the name and the man behind it all, Chief Seattle. I'm Kelly Gunther for Seattle Spotlight. This is the latest in set-top box technology, and soon it will be coming to a neighborhood near you. These next-generation cable boxes have a number of new features, including interactivity, fuzzy logic, and hard drives. They can record your favorite programs, let you interact with a TV show, even pull up internet information on your favorite TV character. Like Web TV, these new boxes will blur the line between television and computer, allowing you to surf the World Wide Web from the comfort of your couch. But this set-top box will also get to know you. It will be able to track and learn your viewing and web surfing habits. And that's a concern to both the mayor of Seattle and City Councilman Jim Compton.
They're going to know an awful lot about us. They're going to know the ages of the children in the household. They're going to know the ages of the parents, their buying patterns.
But Kaiser is looking for another hazard to the birds: pollution. The birds started coming back to the area partly because fish stocks are improving, and the raptors need a lot of fish to feed their young nestlings, but the Duwamish also has many man-made toxic materials contaminating the fish that the osprey eat. Part of Kaiser's study is to see just what effect those toxins are having on the top of the aquatic food chain, in this case, the young ospreys. With the help of City Light line crews, he's paying a visit to the nest that is located next to a large substation. This is Kaiser's second visit to the nest. Earlier, he took one of 3 eggs in the nest for chemical evaluation.
The sample eggs represent the contaminant burdens in the female's body. So it's essentially a snapshot of the contaminant levels in her body at the time the egg was formed.
The remaining eggs hatched, and now there are 2 nestlings. Kaiser is going to capture one temporarily to further determine the health of the birds. The parent ospreys are not happy about the visit, swooping down at the bucket as it descends over 100 feet to the nest. But the birds' attacks are not enough to keep Kaiser from taking a young nestling down for some quick measurements and a blood sample.
About 40 days after the eggs have hatched is we collect a blood sample from one of the nestlings and analyze the plasma for the same series of contaminants. We also collect feather samples from the birds and analyze those feathers for mercury concentrations.
Osprey usually weigh from 2.5 to 4.5 pounds at maturity. Their wingspans 56 inches, and their claws are sharp for snatching fish from the water. This young female will probably be flying and learning to fish in a day or 2 after this exam. Northwest osprey migrate to Mexico and Central America during the winter months. This bird will make the trip late this summer and remain south for a couple of years before reaching breeding maturity and then returning to her birthplace. After Kaiser replaced the bird in her nest, she was fed by her father with a fresh English sole. I'm Connie McDougall for Seattle City Light.
Trees that damage power lines and create risk of fire. Noxious weeds on rights-of-way that harm animals. Insect pests that damage beneficial plants. Problems electric utilities have historically managed with harmful chemicals. At Seattle City Light, we've found better ways by planning or encouraging the growth of a
0510 for a pickup appointment. The fridge must be plugged in and operating when they show up because this program is only for operating refrigerators. Then, within a 4-week period, you'll receive a payment from City Light for $30. If you need to get rid of a non-functioning refrigerator, call the Seattle Public Utilities Customer Service Line at 206-684-3000 and request bulky pickup service. They'll charge $30, but at least you know it's been properly disposed of. Old refrigerators use much more electricity than the new models. That's even more greenhouse gas being produced to provide that extra power. So it's win-win for you and the environment. If you live outside the City Light service territory, check with your local electric utility. There are similar programs in place or being initiated. For Seattle City Light, I'm Connie McDougall.
Determining how much water is flowing out of the mountains is actually pretty important to Seattle City Light. They use that information to determine how much energy they can produce during the year, balanced against the needs of spawning fish. Peter Clark reports.
Water is the fuel that runs City Light's electric generators. And the storage tank for that fuel is the snowpack in the North Cascade Mountains in western Washington and the mountains that surround the Pend Oreille River in the eastern part of the state. Knowing just how much water is in the mountains and available takes a combination of automated and manual measurement, some mathematical modeling, and a sprinkling of stardust. We'll talk about the stardust in a minute. City Light isn't the only beneficiary of the water in the snowpack. The Skagit and the Pend Oreille rivers also provide recreation. And in the case of the Skagit, the water is needed to keep migrating salmon runs healthy. Both require minimum flows out of City Light's reservoirs at various times of the year to maintain these activities. If City Light held back the water behind its dams for release just to make electricity, recreation might suffer, and fish populations would definitely suffer.
City Light says fish first, so we have to be sure we have enough water to protect the reds and the fish species.
Ole Jesness forecasts water supply for the Power Management Division of the utility. Agreements between City Light and the federal and state governments call for water to be released down.
City Light learned some valuable lessons during the recovery from the December 2006 storm when more than half of our customers lost power in the early hours of the catastrophe. Those lessons are being applied to help us get all our customers' power back as quickly and safely as possible, and to provide useful, up-to-date information to the public about the progress of power restoration. With your preparation and help, weathering a power outage will be easier. I'm Kelly Gunther for your Seattle City Light. Even before the big December storm, our region had been waterlogged with nearly historic amounts of rain. That caused rivers to flow out of their normal channels, and this presented some really serious problems for salmon trying to return to their birthplace to spawn.
In 2002, conditions on the Skagit River were perfect when this record run of chum salmon returned from the Pacific to spawn. Plenty of fish meant plenty of offspring. However, the conditions weren't as hospitable for the offspring that returned in the winter of 2006. Record flooding made the long trip up the river very difficult. Some of those salmon, strong enough to fight the increased volumes of water, were tricked into laying their eggs in nests that dried out once the floods receded.
I am standing right next to a chum salmon red, which is right here. And we often see after a big flow like that, a big flood, a lot of reds that are actually out of water.
Ed Connor is a Seattle City Light fish biologist who studies what is happening to the fish in the upper Skagit River. Even though the 2006
over transmission lines. Gorge Powerhouse on the Skagit River was one of the very first built by Seattle City Light and has been generating electricity since the 1920s. Every few decades, though, the turbines have to be replaced because they get worn down and don't generate electricity as efficiently. That's what they've been doing recently at the Gorge Powerhouse. They're replacing what they call Generator 24.
This particular one happens to be a complete turbine overhaul. where the generator had been built in the early 1950s, hasn't been touched hardly at all to 2006, and needs a complete overhaul.
While it takes an immense amount of work to do this, the efficiency of the turbine will increase greatly.
We're upgrading the machine from an 80-watt machine probably all the way up to a 100-megawatt machine, which is a huge improvement in 50 years. Technology and the building of the turbine wheels has increased so much.
Seattle City Light has been upgrading all its turbines at a cost of $64 million, but the utility will make back $112 million in increased power production over the life of the new turbines, so it's a good investment. Doing the work is both technical and time-consuming. Some workers even have to wear these moon suits with an independent air supply to do the modern upgrades. And there's another tool used here that also looks like something you'd see from astronaut training. Seattle City Light workers created it.
It's actually called a boring bar, and what that operation is for is to machine the existing surfaces in the turbine area to accommodate some of the new parts that we're going to be putting into Unit 24.
What's interesting is that the utility put the turbine overhaul out for bid, and Seattle City Light workers won the contract.
We came out about $500,000 lower than the next lowest competitor. That was competing throughout the world, even as far as China had bid on it. So all the equipment that we have at the shop we've collected through the years has allowed us to compete with the outside world.
City Light workers have been caring for these turbines on these hydro systems for a long time, so they've accumulated very specialized machining tools for nearly a century.
A lot of the parts were made back in the early 20s.
Get their names.
See the white bird right there in front of us? Oh, and look up here. Look at the beautiful yellow ones. I don't know what I'm seeing yet. Am I in your way there? I'm sorry. Here, you go first, honey. Yeah, it's got a red bill, a pink bill. All right. Do you see the bird? Can you lay the bird for me? Can you lay the bird for me? Birds made those nests. There's a duck out there. See the little duck? See the little duck in the water? See right there? Hey, look over there. There are more ducks. And down there's a little duck. Well, there's one of them. Oh.
Just in case it doesn't.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm Zula Corning. Z-U-L-A Corning. C-O-R-N-I-N-G. 1005.
I'm Joanne Peck. J-O-L-A-N-N.
4460. Then you'll release them and
Yeah. Jana, I don't think Janice. Jana, oh, I think pretty.
go do these are little drop holes.
Non-storm injury in the thousands of worker hours put toward the restoration effort. The final cost of this storm is estimated to be more than $7 million in damaged equipment and repairs. The long hours paid off because all customers got their power back before Christmas, and crews were able to spend the holiday with their families.
A couple of takeaways. One is the importance of being prepared. I mean, clearly, we're well set up to handle the customary storm events that we deal with every year. This storm obviously was extraordinary, which means that preparedness becomes even more critical. The other takeaway is what might happen if we'd had a more dramatic, more drastic event. I worry a lot about the potential impact of an earthquake, for example. And so the second takeaway is, what if it had been worse, and what can we learn from our response this time that can help us be better prepared for the next event?
One of the lessons learned is that customers can and should do things before winter weather is upon us. Power outages definitely occur, and here are some things your family can do to help cope. Safe, reliable electricity. It's something most of us take for granted until a power failure leaves us in the dark. Seattle City Light understands how hard it is to be without electricity. So when there's an outage, our crews spring into action to find out what went wrong and fix the problem fast. City Light has a very low annual incidence of customers losing power. However, as many learned in the big storm of December 2006, power can go out, and it could be out for days. Lots of things can spark an outage. Stormy weather.
Start out thinking this is going to take. There was just a gap, a space of time.
There was no funding.
Yeah.
I love to see those little Spanish lavender flags, kind of a profile there, the light behind them.